BC. I'm back for another vinyl update. These are some great finds from yesterday. I went to a couple of estate sales and a garage sale, and surprisingly on a Friday I found some amazing stuff. I have first a CD and an 8-track, and then I have a good amount of 78s, some 45s, and some LPs, and some more Canadian rarities. So let's start off with the 1 8-track. This is an original Capitol stereo 8-track of Glenn Campbell, By the Time I Get to Phoenix. Of course, once again, one of my favorites who we just lost, sadly, so I had to pick that one up. And you don't usually see those old 8-tracks. That one's from 68. And then I don't have any Ramones in the collection because it's always so expensive, so this was a CD for $1. So that was nice. And let's get into the 45s as we usually do. So on the pink Spartan label from 1961, we have Barry Mann's big hit with Who Put the Bomb, and that was a great hit for him back in the early 60s, and a great song that I've been looking for a while, so it was nice. And then from 1969, on the red RCA Victor Canadian pressing of the Monkees, doing Listen to the Band. Nice copy. And then we have, on quality, we have the Beaumarks doing Classmate, and this one's from 1961. Next, on the VG, sorry, I said that wrong. On the VJ label, we have Gene Chandler doing Duke of Earl, backed with Kissin' in the Kitchen. And then on the Fontana label, just want to turn these the right way so you guys can actually see the labels. We have Steam doing their song Na 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 Hey Hey Goodbye. Of course you'll know that one. And a nice addition to the Johnny Cash collection. I have a lot of these quality pressings, but this one's from 1958 with Next in Line, Johnny Cash and the Tennessee 2. That's a Canadian pressing, by the way. And next we have the Mystics, again on that label. This one's from 1961, and they're doing Adam and Eve. Great doo-wop group if you haven't heard the Mystics. And then this was a really nice find for my Canadian music collection. Of course, you all know Ian and Sylvia Tyson, great Canadian duo. This is a side project from 1969 on the Ampex label. This is The Great Speckled Bird, and this is a group that they did a side project with, and this is really good. One of the songs is called Calgary, and that's where I'm from, so I love finding stuff with local titles on it and stuff like that. It's always really nice. And on the London label, we have Buddy Knox doing Lovey Dovey, and this is from 1960. So a lot of early 60s stuff and nice 60s stuff. And the last 45 I have to show is the Beau Brummels doing A Little Bit More, Just a Little More. And that's a nice kind of garage rock single. I'm sure you all know them. So those were the 45s, and those were about 50 cents a piece. So now we'll get on to the LPs. First off, one of my favorites, Julio, doing Momenti from 1982. This is an Italian pressing. A lot of country and bluegrass in this video if you're not into that. Yeah, so just to let you know. But these finds were really cheap, and they were in pretty good condition overall. But sorry, I meant to show these 78s first. I'm not showing all the 78s that are there, but I did get some Roy Rogers and stuff like that, and some older stuff. But I will show this 78. This is an original Fats Domino 78 of Blueberry Hill on the Rio Barrio Canadian label. Then I got a couple nice jazz 78s. This one is on the Victor label. think. Yes, or is it the other one that I'm thinking of? Sorry, guys. Yes, this is on the Victor label, and this is a very early Duke Ellington single, 78. And then a great song from 1953 from the one and only Louis Armstrong. I'm just going to take that out. And they're in pretty nice condition. They were less than $1. That's Kiss to Build a Dream on the Decca label. And then one more 78 piece to show. This is a kind of a Canadian rarity. I cannot find anything on it. It's just untrackable. So if you've ever seen one, let me know. But this is a 78 RCA Victor commemorative single, or 78. And this was from October 1951 when Princess Elizabeth, now known as the Queen, visited Canada for the first time. And it's in pretty good condition. I cannot find anything on it. It's on the RCA label. And it's, and then the 78 itself is on the RCA Victor label. So I can't find much on it, but it was a really cool item to find as I like those kinds of historical kind of things. So now we can continue on with the albums. So we had The Best of Dolly Parton, 1975. Sorry, I say and ah a lot, but that's okay. And then Bob Dylan with Street Legal for $1 from 1978 on Columbia. And then we have Dottie West doing Suffer Time from 1968 on the RCA Victor label. Great country artist. And the original and great Carter Family on RCA Camden from 1962. Can't go wrong. And now we get into a Canadian country rarity. It's kind of a funny story, actually. So this is Roxanne Goldade. Kind of a weird name. But she put out this one album in 1978 on the Track Records label. And she's from Calgary. And this was recorded in Calgary, where I'm from. And now she has become a doctor who's still in Calgary. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty funny. And yeah. So that was an interesting find, and it's worth a couple bucks. So next up, one of my favorite finds from yesterday. This is pretty rare. Cover has one bad cover bend and a little bit of ring wear, but even in that condition, it's pretty valuable. So another Canadian rarity. This is a group called Calico, and it's kind of AOR funk kind of stuff, and it's autographed too. From what I can tell, all the copies were autographed. I've seen some without the autograph and some with it, but this one's and the record's just great condition, perfect. And that was only $1. And I looked it up, and I was really surprised at how much it's worth. And it's a really good album, kind of jazz. So if you haven't heard this, sample it on YouTube. There's a clip, and they're called Calico, and this album's called Lost and Found from '81. Sorry, I'm just putting it back in the box here. So yeah, now we get into some more estate sale finds. This is another Canadian artist here. We have Joe Thorson, his banjo album on the Capital 6000 series. I'm sure you've seen some Yardbirds and Hollies on that series, but this is a good album. It's just some banjo music and a good listen overall. That's on the Rainbow Capital label, of course. And we have an interesting Buck Owens album. This is Ain't It Amazing Gracie? And this is from 1973 on the Capitol label. But this one opens on this side, not on the side you would think it would. So it's kind of a strange package, but it's a great album. So good for the Buck Owens collection, that's for sure. And the Wee Five, they were known for their one hit off of this album. It's a pretty good song. The rest of the album's pretty decent. So You Were on My Mind was their hit song, and that was an original Ian and Sylvia song that they wrote. So on the A&M label for less than $1. So one of my favorites, On Stage with Jim Reeves. This one's from 1969 in stereo, and it's a really nice album. He does some really interesting songs on there and some good medleys, so that was great. And switching gears a bit, Earth, Wind & Fire's 1983 album, one of my favorite groups of all time. And then we have a cool country compilation on the Starday Records label. Of course, that was George Jones's first label, and it does have some George Jones on it, as well as some Buck Owens and that kind of thing. So it's kind of weird because Buck Owens, and there's even a Johnny Cash song on here, and they weren't on the Starday label, so it's kind of interesting. I wonder how Starday got those songs, but they did. Alright, 1958. This is a really cool one. One of my other country favorites, Webb Pierce. This is his third album, Just Imagination, on the Decca label. And the vinyl on this is super thick. It's that Decca shellac from the 50s. And it's really a good album. And, two Goodwill finds. Christine McVie's 1984 self-titled album on the Warner label in good condition. So that was a really nice find. I'm sure you've all seen this Ricky Skaggs album. This was $1, so from 81. And you can't go wrong with Ricky Skaggs, as much as you see him out there. Next up, we have another Canadian artist. That's kind of the theme of this video. This was an Edmonton-related item. R. Harlan Smith. This was on the GRT label, and it was recorded in Edmonton at the, I can't remember what the name of the studio is, but it's still active today. And so yeah, this is just the album's called Unknown Country, and that's kind of a good way to describe this. It's kind of country music, so stuff I like. Gave it a shot. And here was another weird item. This is a test pressing of a 1990 kind of house single, and I cannot find really what it is. Stylus something, I don't know. But it's an interesting kind of hip-hop thing, and you never know when you pick up something like this what it's going to be, so it was a hit or miss, so who knows. But it's an interesting song, so next up, Porter and Dolly, their 1970 album on the RCA label. I'm always showing lots on the RCA label. Goes to show they put out some really good music. And this is a nice compilation of Ferlin Husky, Buck Owens, and Farron Young. And on this Hilltop compilation, you get two great early Buck Owens songs, Rhythm and Booze and Hot Dog. If you haven't checked those out, you really should. They're way more rockabilly than they are country, so always good to check out. And this is the rest of the stack we have to show here. So this was a cool find on the Mercury label from 1965. Maybelle Carter, of course, from the Carter family. A great upgrade copy of On the Sunny Side by Johnny Cash with the Carter family. This is just a beautiful copy on the Columbia 2i. Was really surprised to find that in good condition. These next two albums are, once again, family bluegrass country groups, and I did have no clue who they were, and I put them on, and they're really nice. One's instrumental, and the other one the family sings on. So they're kind of gospel driven, but they're really nice. So this is the Lewis family on the Starday label, of course, from 1967. Some really nice bluegrass music on this instrumental. And then we have the Stonemans, another family bluegrass group, and this is on the Nashville label. That was really nice. Two from the great Canadian hero Hank Snow. We have My Nova Scotia Home. Those are both on the RCA. And this is a really early Hank Snow that you don't usually see. This is from 1956. U.S. pressing of country classics, and it has this big song "I'm Moving On it. So that was really nice to find. Two more finds. 1967, switching gears a bit, but something that I really enjoy. Simply Streisand, Barbara Streisand, and this is just an immaculate condition from Goodwill. So just some good vocals and that kind of thing. And the last is a promotional item. Here, kind of Calgary related. The station is still around today, CJAY, and Country FM. And this was from the 80s, and it was a MCA sampler, so you get George Strait on it, as well as some Reba, and who else is on this? Lee Greenwood, and who else? So, there, and it says for promotional use only. So, those are my finds, VC. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Hope everyone has a great rest of their weekend, and I will see if I'll be back soon with another video. Who knows if some more records come my way. So, thank you so much for sticking with me and watching. Take good care.